Hello, everybody. This is Preston Poulter here with Pocket Jazz Comics, and I am joined by contest winner Larry Holder.
Hello.
And John Lamont. Oh, John, I was joined by John. He dropped. Hopefully, he will come back. He's in Florida, so I don't think he's at too great a risk from the hurricanes, but you never know. So, wow, it's been a pretty busy week for me. I've been having to draft all kinds of legal stuff, and I just got around to writing up our contract. So that's hey, Big Steve, how you doing? So that's coming down the pike. And meanwhile, Larry, you've been looking at artists.
Yeah, I have.
Cool.
Lots of artists.
Excellent. All right, yeah. So let's go over that. So I guess first I want to start off with kind of general advice, just for me. You get a better project in general. Oh, wait, there's private chat. Hold on. Private chat says I'm lagging out bad. Okay, he's going to reboot his PC. Sounds good. Okay, so the more it's kind of goes against what you typically think. If we're in like the industry of, shipping stuff, every time somebody's hands touch it, that typically is like an extra cost. And like, if we're looking at this from like an industrial point of view, you want to minimize the number of hands that touch a given, thing on its way from stage 1 to stage 2. So if we're talking about like a car, like if you can somehow chart out how you take a car from blueprint to being sold on the lot, if you can reduce the number of hands that have to touch it along the way, then you typically have saved money. So a lot of times there's this pressure to consolidate for cost savings. And you tend to see that when it comes to artists too. When it comes to artists, you can have a separate penciler, a separate inker, a separate colorist, a separate letterer, which, by the way, is what I do. But the more hands means you tend to get more cost associated with it, which, like I am paying fairly high rates, compared to a lot of my competitors, but my books also look better. So I like the question you're going to have to answer is, do I want to go with just one artist? Or maybe like I see a lot of people who are like, I'll do penciling and inking. And they just really want that. Look, I recently engaged Jamie Tyndall, and he sent me a sketch for, in fact, here, let me see if I can pull it up. And, he was like, pretty expensive for pencil and ink. And, color is just like a smidge more. But, like at that point, I was like, well, I guess why not? It's Jamie Tyndall, I guess. Fair enough. But I like having multiple hands touch something when it comes to art, because I'm not. Oh, here we have John back. Yeah. All right. So if we have a penciler and an inker, then as separate people, then like the penciler the inker usually is the one who gets the work after the penciler. And if the penciler is not quite doing something right, the inker will let you know. She will, or he, that person, the inker, will send a note, typically to the editor up the chain and going, there's some problems here with the pencils, yada, yada. But if the guy's penciling his own inks, or inking his own pencils rather, then you don't necessarily get that kind of supervisory things, and sometimes you can have flaws, as well as certain acts of sabotage, like if somebody writes dirty words in the background of your comic book and so on. So the more eyes you have on it in pre-production, or production really, I should say, then in my opinion, the better product you're going to have. So it's a little bit unintuitive. Usually when I'm looking at industrial design, I want to cut out as many people as possible. But when it comes to my art team, I like having a penciler, an inker, a colorist, and a letterer all be 4 separate people. That way, they're all kind of checking up on each other. And you get more eyes, you get a bigger chance to spot a problem, kind of thing. So, but that being said, tell me about what you've been looking at artists, and I know a lot of them, particularly when it comes to pencils, and they price it for everything. I see it'll be 45 for pencils, 65 if you want pencil and ink. I can do the whole thing for color. It's like going to be 80 per page. So I see a lot of people structuring their quotes like that. And it's kind of tempting to just go, okay, I'll just go with this one guy who'll do everything. So I think we may be ending up with that on this one.
Yeah, it sounds like the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I've gotten quite a few different people messaging me just off of one post on Facebook.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, man. Like I have been
paying gigs, they come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, exactly. I have been trying to tell people,
artists,
when you're like, I have a gig that pays money, it's like they just charge.
Yeah. So so I've been getting a lot of stuff there, but 50% of them just aren't what I'm looking for, I guess.
Sure.
Not necessarily that they're bad, it's just their style's maybe not as refined or something like that.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get somebody that sort of meshes well with what you've done in your books, so that we can have a little bit of cohesion that way. So
awesome. What exactly do you mean by that?
Just like stylistically and whatnot. So
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
that sort of more American style, if you will. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I could go and look for somebody who's like ultra manga or something like that, but it doesn't really fit the property either. Right?
I've heard there's an up and coming mangaka out of Australia.
Oh, is that Liam? Or...
No, Liam's artist, Adi. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, but you've kind of settled on some. Here's William Savage, who thought he might not be able to make it tonight. Welcome to the stream, sir.
Hello. So you guys just started?
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
More or less. Yeah.
That's cool.
It is around our typical start time. So, Larry, tell us about the artist you chose, or at least I have kind of tentatively settled on for right now.
His name sort of escapes me right now.
Well, do you want me to bring up? Do you want me to bring it up? Okay.
His name is Christian, but I can't remember his last name. So.
I will log in. Log into the Twatter.
Oh, it's on. But anyway, he's an Argentinian artist, and he's offering to do everything for a base rate, basically. So, I told him the amount of pages, what my budget was. He's like, well, I can do it for this amount, but I can't go any lower than that. And I said, well, I could probably throw some money in there then. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all right, so hold on. Let me. Wow. So I open it up in a tab. So now I've got a Chrome tab. Oh, okay. It's Twitter. Right. Got it. I don't need to share audio. Boom. There it is. All right. So there is a cover he did.
Yeah.
And I gotta say that's not bad looking work.
No, it's pretty good.
And that's pencil, ink, and color.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
He's got some nice stuff. So
yeah.
This was one sample he sent me. He sent me like 15 different books he worked on. So he's been around.
Yeah, I mean 50. I mean, he can produce. All right. So I've discovered you're Canadian.
Yes.
Fantastic. Canadians are good people, and they like their French fries with gravy, as I discovered.
And cheese.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So awesome. Now, but where it kind of sucks being a Canadian is when you are doing comic book crowdfunds and most of your customers are in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, especially with that border. And all the extra fees.
That border.
Yeah.
And that border.
Yeah.
It's difficult to separate the politics from the personalities at times. But and then this is another interior page. You know, it's very blue toned, but you know, it's decent looking work. You know, I like it. In fact, I'd go as far as say it's pretty good. And this guy's quoting like $2,700 to do like a
$2,700. Yeah.
to do like a 26-page book. So that's just slightly over $100 a page. So that's and isn't that for lettering also or something?
Yeah, it's for lettering as well. And he was talking about doing some sort of animated trailer or something too. So
there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome. That guy seems like he's going to be a good fit. Now, I know we were kind of chatting with him, and he's like, "All right, I want some money to get started." And I was chatting with you, and you're like, "Okay, I want some money." No, you were like, "I would like someone to do fulfillment, because you're in Canada. So if you have all these American customers, then sending your comic book to them in the United States might be prohibitive because of that whole border thing." Whereas I don't have that problem. So I have done some fulfillment for people in the past, and here's my thinking. All right, like let's just say we got like 100 customers. All right, and you know, ship. All right, so if I'm going to print the book here, so 100 books, you know, let's say that's going to be $300 to print. And, you know, Gemini mailer is going to be like, come up on 5. Domestic shipping is going to bring it to 8. So if we got 100 customers and I'm going to be fulfilling them, and that's just if they're all in the domestic US. If you had international customers, then the shipping starts to get a little pricey.
Yes.
So if you want me to do fulfillment, then like I would be looking at maybe suggesting keeping some of the money of, you know, like, okay, I'm going to put $2,000 into the kitty, but I don't want to get in a weird situation because the crowdfunder is going to be in your name, I'm going to assume, right?
Yeah.
And the money's going to funnel to your account.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't want to have to be chasing you down and going, so my thought would be, well, why don't I put $1,000 into the art and then save $1,000 and then charge the fulfillment expenses against that? And, you know, if we come in at, you know, like a little over or under, then, you know, I can just, you know, fund you or get money from you, you know, that whatever the small difference is there. But then I don't know if you're ready to fund $1,700 worth of art by yourself.
Probably not. No.
Okay. So, all right. This is where it gets a little complicated. All right. Let me think on this. All right. I'll put on my thinking. Well, we could choose a different artist, or have you considered making your story half the size?
Be pretty tight if it was half the size.
Yeah, but I mean, instead of 27 pages, if we go with 23, then you shaved off like $300 and some change.
It's true.
And a little bit off the printing. So just a thought. We'll definitely talk about that in a little bit, but just in terms of the logistics. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Okay. Let me pull up. We got some scripts. I'm assuming you're releasing Danganronpa the animation. No, I'm not doing that. All right, scripts on. Okay. Oh, I can't. We have Moby. He's written some more stuff for Guinevere. I love it when other people write Guinevere. He's also got Baddest Badass. Sounds cool. All right, we got William Savage in the house with The Case of the Blooded Pages. Larry, I see you got The Time and Space, and then we got Angel of Darkness by that John guy. Oh wait, no, that was for the contest, right?
No, it wasn't.
No, that was for the contest. Okay.
Yeah, that was because I thought we were going to do pages last week, so that's why I posted them.
Okay, cool. Well, yours was in last week, so we can get started with that one if you want.
Alrighty.
All right. Let's pull up some work here. All right. But coming back to the Larry Hall, what if we did this? What if we get the guy? What if he does? If he's done 15 books, it seems like his work rate is pretty appreciable. Like he can get it done rather fast. I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
So, what if we get $1,000 worth of artwork done? So we get the book maybe halfway done.
Yeah,
kind of halfway done. Then we do the crowdfund. Then you'll have the money to pay him to finish the book.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
There we go.
We could get at least half of it done anyway.
Yeah.
Before we start. Yeah,
that would work. And my trick, by the way, I learned this first time out. Don't have. Hold on just a minute. I might sneeze, or maybe not. But don't have them do the cover first thing, because you want them to practice drawing the character a few times.
Yeah.
And you don't want because they're going to improve as they draw the character more and more. And so you don't want their first time to be drawing the cover, because the cover is important. That sells the book and all that. So anyway. All right. Okay, John. I'm going to share Angel of Darkness.
All right, so you guys are going to have to put your girl voices on.
Okay, I can't wait. So I see a baggage coach. I see an observation coach. There are multiple coaches.
There's 9.
There are 9 coaches. Okay, all right.
That's what they call train cars in England.
That's right. This is a train epic. Okay.
So as an aside, the numbers that I have listed here,
yes,
is the number of the car of the coach in the train. So if it says 2, then it's in the second car. If it's 9, it's the 9th car. 5, 4.
Okay.
Engine is car 1. So there's that. I consistently did that. Otherwise, it can get confusing where things are happening. Anyway, so I will read my my little previously on blurb in a second.
Okay.
And since it has been 2 weeks, I did also back us up a page to kind of get us, because before we ended at the end of page 30, and now we're going to start at the beginning of page 30.
All right.
Just to kind of get us into the story. As far as readers go, let's see. Who does most of my talking? So, I am almost thinking, Preston, why don't you do Amos?
I love Amos.
As per the usual. And yeah, we'll have you do Amos and Ridley as per the usual.
Okay.
Larry, why don't you do Aaron and Hansel?
Okay.
He's got quite a bit in here. And William, I'm going to have you do Nikita. She does not have a lot of lines, so why don't you do... Basically, you're going to do everybody else. You're just doing Nikita and everybody else. Now, there is... and let's do this, too. There's going to be... Just for shits and giggles. On page 33, there's 3 conscripts having a private conversation. So why don't you all just pick 1, 2, and 3?
Okay.
Just for fun. Just to shake it up.
All right.
Sure.
All right. And who's narrator?
I'll narrate.
Go for it.
All right. So, previously on Angel of Darkness, having traveled 100 miles north of Bulawayo on Cape to Cairo Railways, British Army officers Colonel Amos, Major Hansu, Captain Njoku, and Second Lieutenant Aaron Rice, along with Mayor Arthur Ridley and his wife Nikita, and dozens of refugees and military conscripts from the town, they finally thought they would be safe. But during breakfast, the second wave of zombies attack the train station, forcing them back on board the train in the hopes that getting further away from danger will save their lives.
Do we know who the Angel of Darkness is yet?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, could be the Shadow.
It could be. All right. Okay, go ahead.
We're gonna get to know the Shadow a little bit more
In the story.
in these pages.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The Shadow.
Awesome. Let's do it.
All right. Interior observation coach. Is that right? Where am I at?
I see page 30 as being the first page, which says interior baggage coach.
There we go.
Breaks open a crate.
That's because this is actually the bottom of page 29, but we don't need to go there. All right. Hansu breaks open a crate, loads up rifles, and passes them to Onjoko.
Pass them down.
Interior observation coach 9. Aaron throws the bench cushion aside to reveal a compartment with various assortment of weapons and ammunition. Nikita turns to Ridley, stares into his eyes.
You should try to buy us some time.
Ridley walks up to Aaron, takes an automatic rifle from the chest.
Right. I'll buy you as much time as you need.
Ridley exits the rear of the coach. Nikita locks the door behind him.
Where is he going?
The train jolts suddenly, moving forward. Nikita watches out the window as Ridley fires the automatic rifle into the zombie horde. The horde seems more interested in following the train, despite being shot from the rear. Passenger coach 4. Hansu and Onjoko pass out rifles and magazines.
By the way, just for formatting, I would actually put fires, or whatever in like block letters as a signal to the sound editing.
Oh, yeah. I forget to do that sometimes.
Go for it. Hanzo and Onjoko pass out rifles and magazines. And I have Hanzo.
All right, gentlemen. Lesson 1.
Hands grab bullets from large wooden crates.
Press the bullet into the clip with your thumb like so.
He shoves 5 rounds into the clip.
Load the clip into the rifle's magazine. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire.
Exterior train platform. As the train picks up speed, the horde races behind. Passenger coach 4. The conscripts aim the rifles out the side windows.
Pull back hard on the hammer to chamber around.
Rifles cocked throughout the car.
Line up your target down the barrel. Fire at will.
A typo.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what I meant to say.
The thunder of 100.
The thunder. That's what I meant to say. The thunder. The thunder of 100 rifles boomed through the passenger coach.
Right.
Train platform. A volley of gunfire rings out, laying
waste to the zombie horde.
Something along those lines.
Oh,
I'll fix that. Yeah. All right. Passenger coach 4. Another volley until the rifles empty.
And I would block letter volley. So, yeah. Because again, like the sound editor has to add all this shit in, so you might as well put little cues for him.
Prepare to reload.
Amos walks up behind Hanzo.
Have you seen the second lieutenant?
No, sir.
Damn it.
Amos moves toward the back of the train.
All right, gentlemen. That was good. Reload.
Observation coach 9. Aaron grabs a bolt-action sniper rifle and a box of bullets. Rear platform. Aaron takes a knee, loading rounds into the rifle. She takes aim. Bang. A bullet splatters the brain of one of the horde. Aaron pulls back the bolt, ejecting the cartridge. Bang. Another bullet splatters the brain of another horde. As the train picks up speed, several of the zombies turn their attention to Ridley. Zombie reloads the automatic rifle as the horde charge at him.
Come on, you sons of bitches!
He fires the rifle, ripping them apart, but they quickly overwhelm him, ripping him to pieces.
Oh.
Observation coach 9. Nikita watches as Ridley goes down. She lets out a long sigh of relief. Aaron re-enters the coach.
I'm sorry.
She hugs Nikita, who stands cold, emotionless.
I'm not. He was a bastard.
Perhaps, but in the end, he showed who he really was.
Aaron unloads the rifle and returns it to the chest. Nikita stares out the back of the window, clutching her leather satchel tight. Passenger coach 5. The conscripts sit around, clutching their rifles. Others attempt sleeping to the rocking of the train. 3 conscripts sit together, whispering.
All this talk about fighting for home and family. Now we have no family to return to.
The front doors open. The 3 watch Amos and Hanso pass, exiting the back of the train.
We've
Got
got
the guns. Oh, but
conscript 3. We've got the guns.
They're not going to let us just take them.
They brought this death to us.
The 3 all nod in agreement. They get up, heading toward the front of the train. The shadow moves from under their table, following. Observation Coach 9. Amos and Hanso enter the coach.
Lieutenant.
I'm sorry, sir. I don't know what happened.
Amos notices Nikita staring out the back window.
Lady Ridley, is your husband here?
He sacrificed himself for us.
He shall be remembered.
Nikita walks over to the bar, pours herself a shot of liquor.
How are the men?
I'm afraid we're going to lose them if we're not careful.
From the horde or morale?
We need to address the men. Would you prepare?
Sir, the men will be no good in a fight if they think their home is being invaded by these creatures.
zombie.
Nikita downs another shot.
What?
Zombie. Reanimated corpse. The result of Vadil curse? Oh, voodoo. Is that supposed to be voodoo?
It's the ancient. It's actually a combination of Vo and Voodoo, the original religion that Voodoo came out of.
Okay, so Vodandu?
Vodunbu.
Vodandu, okay.
I believe that's how
Vodandu
it's
curse.
pronounced. But yes, it's whatever was before Voodoo was this. But go on.
Okay.
Hanso. Do we have Hanso?
I think
Oh, sorry, that's me.
Yeah.
In ancient superstitions.
Ancient religion, largely outlawed in civilized society, but no less real or powerful.
Can they be killed?
Moving the head is the only way I know of.
I shot a few through the head, too. That seemed to work. But 2 needs 2 of.
Can we let some of the men return home?
gunfire rings out.
Stay with her.
Amos and Hansu rush out of the front door. Exterior Cape to Cairo's railway engine. A bullet hits Jaconde, knocking him back. Blood splatters on the controls. The fireman picks up his fallen pistol. He aims around the coal box, exchanging gunfire with the conscripts hiding back by the couplers. Another conscript climbs around the other side. The fireman turns, but the conscript grabs his arm. They struggle. The other 2 conscripts climb around the coal box. They subdue the fireman, pinning him to the ground. The leader goes to the controls. Amos climbs around the coal box.
That's enough.
Amos draws his pistol. The 3 conscripts stare him down. The entire engine room is barely large enough for 3 people, let alone 6. The leader curses at him in Shona. A conscript tackles Amos. They fall to the ground, part of their body hanging over the ledge, train tracks zipping by inches from their head. Amos takes control of the grapple, rolls on top of the conscript, punches him. The other 2 grab him, pick him up. Amos swings his legs, using the narrowest of the cabin to throw them off balance. Back on his feet, Amos throws one over his hip. The conscript loses his balance, falls off the train. Bones break. He ragdolls along the side of the train. Amos moves on the second conscript, throws him hard into the side of the train, repeatedly bangs his head against the metal, cracking his skull. The leader draws a knife. Amos dodges, grabbing his arm, breaking it.
That's enough.
Amos kneels beside Jaconde.
Captain.
I'm all right.
The fireman moves to his side, applies pressure to his wounds. Amos kneels beside him, checks his wounds.
I'll get Captain Ojunku. You just stay here.
Amos notices the shadow moving under the train. The shadow hovers, pulls the dead conscript to its feet.
On second thought, let's bring you to the doctor.
What is it?
Less talking, more moving. Help me.
Amos grabs Jaconde's arm, puts it over his shoulders, and pulls him to his feet. The fireman gets on the other side. The conscript leader stares in horror as the shadow reanimates the corpse. Amos starts around the coal box ledge, one hand on the railing, one arm under Jaconde. The fireman follows, one arm under Jaconde, one hand on the railing. A loud, blood-curdling scream. Train coupler 1-2. Amos and the fireman get Jaconde to the shifting platform safely. Once inside the baggage coach, Amos bolts the door. Passenger coach 3. Amos and the firemen lead Jaconde in, letting him take a seat at the first bench.
Someone get Captain Ojunku.
One of the conscripts exits out the back. The two zombies stare blankly with dead eyes. The shadow hovers over one of them, forces itself into the zombie through its eyes, nose, and mouth. After a second, its bones crack as it straightens itself. Fists clench. It exhales deeply. Reaching forward, it grabs the coal box railing. Passenger coach 3. One of the benches has been converted to a bed. Jaconde lays down as Njoko desperately tries to stop the bleeding. A low growl can be heard. All eyes turn to the door. The zombie grabs Njoko, throws him hard down the coach. It grabs the fireman, ripping out his throat. It moves to another, pulls limbs from sockets. Guns fire, bullets rip through flesh, but it doesn't faze it. The conscripts continue moving away through the coach. It continues moving his way through the coach, tearing the conscripts apart. It's strong, powerful, unstoppable. Train coupler 3-4. A panicked group of conscripts flee the passenger coach. As the train turns a corner, the plates shift. A few of the conscripts slip, falling between the plates. Screams, blood splatters under the train. Pressing against the door, they force it open, spilling into the next passenger coach. Another conscript falls from the train. The zombie leaps across the train couplers, tackling one of the men, bites into his neck. He stumbles, falling off the platform, taking the zombie with him. Bones crunch under the train wheels, shredding both to pieces. Passenger coach 4. The last conscript in the coach slams the door closed. The men in the coach exchange worried glances.
Are you okay? What's going on?
Njoko picks himself up. Looking around, he sees the coach littered with bodies. Kneeling beside Jaconde, he finds him fading in and out of consciousness. Njoko attempts to nurse his wounds as he fades for the last time. The shadow moves through the coach, pulling each one of the corpses to their feet. They stand in place, immobile. Njoko carefully slips between them, moving toward the back of the car.
Okay. We got some 10 pages of zombie stuff on a train. Zombies on a train. Which is apparently like an anime entitled what? I forget.
I don't know if it was based on an anime, but I know there was a Korean zombie film that came out a couple years ago called Train to Busan.
Okay. Korean then. Fair enough. All right.
Yeah, zombies on a train makes you think of snakes on a plane.
Exactly. Which that was a great movie.
Yeah. You got Sam Jackson making an appearance in this.
Jackson, exactly. All right. Well, it had action. It had some subterfuge. It had, a death of a named character. It had lots of zombies. I think it hit it checked all the boxes for what zombies on a train should have, and it had a lot of train. So, I mean, you have, you've done your job. You've told us a story that has, action beats to it, and it's got a lot of fighting. Some of the characters have struggled. We got betrayed by the conscripts. That one kind of came out of nowhere. We had to put down the conscript revolution. There's a lot going on, but it's pleasant action. So,
I guess my main question is this supposed to be a screenplay for a film?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because first I was thinking, is this supposed to be a comic book script? Because the format seemed a little weird for a comic book script. There, I realized, it must be a screenplay.
Screenplay.
Okay.
So, William, you got any notes for us?
Yeah, I really like the action sequences as well and stuff. It flowed really well, and the mix of like describing the action scenes in between lines, is really well, like, interesting detail, because you kind of have characters moving and they do actions while they're speaking, lines and stuff. So I thought that was a cool detail added there.
Right. Larry?
Yeah, pacing is definitely on point. It's a little bit more exciting than the first couple pages that we read. I know that you kind of have to establish things, but I definitely like the pacing a lot better in this section. So.
Cool.
This is the beginning of Act 2.
Okay.
So in a screenplay point, this would be that. So.
All right.
So you're like, according to the classic 3-act narrative structure of movies, so this is like the build-up, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess you could say that.
Or
Act 1 is like the introduction. It kind of sets all the pieces. Act 2 is where you have the main bulk of the narrative action. And then Act 3 is kind of where you do your payoff and wrap everything up.
okay, so like, how long do you think you imagine this movie being?
The script is just over 93 pages. So it'll be about an hour and a half to an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, an hour and a half is pretty ideal for a film, like, because then it's like they can have more screenings and stuff, because like films like to have like that hour and a half length.
I typically try to shoot for an hour and 45 minutes. I feel like that's a really good sweet spot. About 100 pages is what I typically try to shoot for. This one was a little shy of 100, but honestly, I feel like it's really tight. My opinion, I feel like it's really tight and the action flows. And if I tried to slow it down, I don't think it would really benefit the story.
Oh yeah, like depending on what genre you're going for, and like, having it be, slightly under 2 hours is really good, because you don't have you have less wasted scenes, and they can show more at like a movie theater, because that's kind of, they say, like, when you get to 3 hours, they don't really like that, because there's like there's only so much time to show screenings of movies.
When we get to 3 hours, I don't really like that.
A lot of
there are exceptions,
really
like there are exceptions like In-Game, Infinity War, and like Lord of the Rings. They can get away with that, but it's like most films do not want, most movie theaters and studios do not want their movies going for like.
It took Marvel
2
18
hours.
movies to get up to 3 to be worth a 3-hour sit in the theater.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Takes a while.
Just DC tried that with Justice League, and it didn't go over too well.
No.
Was it 3 hours? I thought it was cut down to like at 2.5.
It was over 2.5, and I think when it came out on Blu-ray, it was over almost 3 hours. I think the Snyder cut's going to be like 3.5 or something like that. Ridiculous.
That's an awful lot of.
But
They're
at least
gonna
that'll be
cut it,
streaming,
yeah.
so I can
Superheroes.
pause it when I want to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's going to be cut off. It's going to be like a mini series or something like that. How they're going to cut it up or something.
I don't think they've officially announced how they're going to do that. But anyway,
Okay.
we're getting off topic.
Yeah.
So what's the crappy part of my script, Preston?
All right. So,
I know you still aren't emotionally engaged with my characters. So we can
yes,
skip
that is my big deal. I'm not emotionally engaged with these characters, so I don't understand Ridley. Right? I feel like he was acting kind of selfless and like saying, "I'm going to go out and fight these zombies because and die." I mean, like based on our discussion, he knew he was going to die last time when he's like, I'm going to get off the train and fight the horde to buy us some time or whatnot. Right?
Right.
So I feel like that's a pretty noble sacrifice to make. So I don't know why his wife, immediately upon his death, is like, screw him. One, even if he was a total bastard, that still makes her look kind of bad. And people tend to try and not look bad in the eyes of other people. So, like, even if they don't like somebody that died, when they die, like, you feel a lot of guilt if you harbor bad things for them, even if they might not have been the best person to you. So the idea that, Ridley's dead and, Ridley's significant other, like, yeah, screw him. After he just sacrifices himself to a horde of zombies to help the party, I don't understand. that one. So
You're
that
not supposed to yet.
Oh, okay. Well, that one leaves me a little cold. Um,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the payoff when we get to it
okay.
makes sense.
All
But
right.
until
Well-
then, at least you are seeing what you're seeing what I'm laying down.
Okay. Yeah.
The only
It's
question
there.
is
No,
gonna be
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
when
Well,
the
the weird-
payoff comes is whether or not it makes up for it.
Well, the weird thing is that normally with zombie films, I don't know, it's like outside of the comical ones, you normally never really feel much investment in any of their characters, kind of, because you kind of feel like most of them are already going to get eaten alive, torn to pieces and stuff. So it's like, I don't know.
There's usually one or two characters. That is true, William, and I'm kind of relying on that in this to get away with what I'm trying to get away with. Whether or not I can get away with it for as long as I am going to try to. Again, I don't know. I don't know if what I'm trying to do is going to pay off.
Okay.
Yeah, is this I didn't, when I like reading this, I almost got a bit of a World War Z vibe when you mention all the soldiers involved, what's going on,
Right.
Was that one of your inspirations, was World War Z?
It was outside of Train to Busan, it was just zombie movies in general. I kind of looked at what different things that they did, because I know one of Preston's things is, there's too many characters. Well, lots of zombie movies have lots of characters because eventually they all start dying off.
That's fine.
So you introduce a bunch of characters in the very, very beginning,
right.
and then when you get to Act 2, they start dropping like flies.
Okay, sure.
And
But
you
I'm
need
just
to know
saying,
who these characters are.
if the formula for the story is I throw a whole bunch of characters at you for the first 20 minutes, and then I kill a few of them off, and one of them I kill off, and the wife of the wild is like, well, screw this guy. You're kind of conditioning me to not really care about character death, which, is I don't know.
Well, that's kind of zombie films, is like, you're supposed to see, how is this guy going to die and stuff? Like, how are you going to get chewed up and stuff?
Did you notice that everybody else felt the way you did about his death except her?
Okay, very good.
Was her
So
lack
she's a bitch, is what you're saying. She's just,
was her lack of caring about his demise
sure
overshadowing the reaction that everybody else had? Because everybody else was supposed to have that normal, oh my gosh, he gave us, he'll be remembered. In the end, he proved who he really was.
You accomplished your task. I think you could do it a little bit more subtly. I think you could have it be more of a look, more of like someone saying, "Oh my God, he was so great," and just have the wife like roll her eyes a bit or something and look away.
Okay, so maybe the line doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't think the line. And I feel like there were a number of lines here which were kind of clunky, and I know that lines come later, but I don't understand why the conscripts are all of a sudden like, you introduce these characters to me, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, you know what we should do? We should have a revolt, see? And I'm like, where the hell did that come from?
It's a standard zombie movie trope.
Okay.
There's always characters that are always there that try to work against the main characters.
They're introduced.
It's formula.
I mean, look, they're introduced.
Yeah.
They betray immediately. Then they're dispatched immediately. It's almost like they're not even there. It's like they volunteer themselves for an action beat.
That's kind of a trope in zombie films, is they come. It's like in Dawn of the Dead, where these biker gang come and they kind of cause the whole zombies to get into the mall, and then people start getting massacred immediately. So they're kind of the trope to start the whole, everything's in control, and then these idiots come in and ruin everything.
Yeah.
Yes, William, that's exactly what these guys are. That's exactly what their purpose is. I apologize if it's a little tropey, but I'm following the formula.
Okay.
The reality of zombie films is people it's very formulaic. So it's it's a very niche type of film that happens to be a very popular, or at least used to be a very popular genre.
Okay. I mean, look, that's all cool in the gang. But it almost seems like you're trying to set out to make a derivative picture. It's like, what is AOT? I see anime like AOT blend anime horror and lots of character death. I don't know what AOT is.
Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
I think it works like an invasion of horror. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like we got a weep in the chat.
Yeah. I haven't made her. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it is Attack on Titan. So if you're like, well, that's, I when in Rome, when in zombie movies, let's introduce characters who immediately betray people and then die. Okay, I mean that's fine, but
I do got one question. So like I'd say the most important thing, like one of the first things about a zombie film, like what exactly are the rules to your zombies? Because that's always kind of the first important establishment of what they can do. I know you said how they can be killed, but like, do they run or are they shuffling?
They can run.
Okay, because I know like
we've seen them run, charge, and now that if they're possessed by the shadow, they can leap and they act intelligently when they're possessed by the shadow. So these are magic zombies. If you hadn't figured that out by now, they're magic zombies.
Okay.
They're not sci-fi zombies.
Okay, so you're kind of going for like a little bit more of like the classic zombies that used to be like raised by magic and stuff.
Yes.
So it's not a disease, yeah.
No.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
That's not, this is kind of like where this conversation in the train where she says they're the result of a Voldemort curse. So right there, I'm setting up that they're magic zombies.
If anything, this would be my advice. All right, I want you in each scene to contemplate what emotion you want the audience to feel, because I want your stories to be an emotional journey that you have planned out for them. And there are a lot of scenes where I'm like, okay, how does John want me to feel here? Like, how do you want me to feel when we have the conscripts immediately revolt? And then, does Amos have a gun? Or did he just challenge these 3 armed conscripts by himself so he could demonstrate judo to people? Like, where the hell did this come from? I don't, how am I supposed to feel in that scene where, now he's fighting 3 conscripts. He threw them over the train. Okay. Life carries on. Like, I felt like, well, that happened. I mean, like, I don't really have an emotional attachment to the thing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about zombie films, it seems like a lot of the most popular zombie films nowadays kind of all tend to be very comical. So I'm not sure if your intentions were to like be super serious with this script.
Well, that's where I'm like, if he designed the scene to make me laugh, okay. But I didn't get that from that scene. I don't think he wrote it as a comedy.
Yeah, I didn't write it specifically as a comedy.
Right, yeah.
Okay, because like
it's not supposed to be dark, dreary, and all of that, but I mean, it is going to be more on the serious side.
Okay, because it seems like, the most serious, like the best serious zombie thing that's come out recently was basically The Walking Dead and stuff. That's kind of like the top one. Because outside of that, most people like stuff like Zombieland, Shaun of the Dead, and even like Dawn of the Dead was pretty comical and funny and stuff.
I don't know what SR is, although the weebs are going crazy in my chat. I'm like, what is SR? What is SR? I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it. But my advice is, John, you've got the technicals down. The scripts are formatted perfectly. You've got the idea for structure, where the story's going to begin, where the middle should be, where the end is. You kind of know where you can kind of deviate from, like Save the Cat formula to go, well, I haven't quite introduced the main character yet, but this is a zombie movie, so here's a bunch of them that have emerged protagonists. You know where you can break the rules, but you're still not touching me emotionally with your writing. And I think that would be the next step for you. Personally. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I guess so. Like something like melodrama in a zombie film, you think?
No, like if somebody's dying, I feel like we should kind of have a sad moment where they die. Like, it doesn't have to be melodrama. I mean, it doesn't have to be like, people arguing over who's having sex with who behind whose back or anything. But I need to be like, the action should be pulse pounding. I need to be feeling like I'm on the edge of my seat and not just watching actors go through a scene because that's what was on the page.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think with a movie, you only got so much, screen time to use, and it's like, I don't know. It just, some horror films it works, but with this genre, it's kind of, I don't know. It's like you have a lot to put in a zombie film, so it's just I don't know. You only like how much screen time can you give to characters to get people to feel the characters when you have a lot of other stuff to keep building up and using. It's like,
Yeah. Anyway, so that's Larry. What constructive notes do you have?
I don't know if I have anything to add.
Okay.
Anything that's been said. I kind of had the same thoughts that, but I get what John's saying. Like the genre really does lend itself to a lot of disposable characters that don't really get a lot of screen time. It's the same in slasher films too, and all that kind of stuff. But usually, you've got archetypes that this guy's kind of like the douchebag or the stoner or whatever, so you don't need to develop them, right? So, but it's harder in a period piece because you don't have those archetypes of modern day. So
the Dawn of the Dead remake did a good job. So there we go.
Yeah,
but
did they ever make the movie of Pride and Prejudice and Zombies? Did that ever get made?
Yeah, they did make that.
They did. It bombed pretty hard.
Well, so again, like maybe the combining zombies with period drama. I don't know.
It could work. But
hey, can you show me an example?
No, because there hasn't really been one. So.
Wait, is this
Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies?
Oh,
wait. Is this a period piece?
Yes, this is taking place in the 40s.
30.
Oh, okay. So
30,
So it's in World War II.
Yeah. Right before World War II.
There have been wartime zombie movies though, so you can do, but that's in conflict though, right? So it's a little different. Yeah. So.
There have been. What's up, Moby?
Oh, what's up, man?
You got the audio going in the background over there.
Oh no, I took it off.
Right.
Okay, let's. Oh, I'm trying to think of one. Would you consider like Army of Darkness to count? I mean, that takes place in the medieval times.
I don't consider that a zombie picture.
Yeah, I don't consider it zombies either. I know a lot of people do, but it's not really, because it doesn't follow the zombie formulas and that sort of stuff. The Evil Dead is more like demons than zombies.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I feel like there has been one, but it's obscure. I don't know there hasn't really been any like big period pieces because they all like to take place in contemporary times. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I
Could
saw
just be that
one.
it's easier. I don't know.
Well, technically,
there's a reason why this. I mean, that's the thing, and I know I keep saying this, and this is why I want to keep going with the script until we get to the end, and then if you guys still feel this way, then I'll know that. But everything that I'm doing for a reason, even if you don't know what the reason is yet, because it's supposed to be kind of a surprise, and I don't want to spoil it for everybody because I want to see if you guys figure out what's actually going on before it's revealed, and two, I want to see if my payoff if what I'm building to pays off properly, and I won't know that if I tell you what I'm building to. So that's kind of why I just want to.
Big Steve, what's good, man?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my.
Really enjoyed your interview of me on Monday. So.
Yeah, man, we gotta do more, man. Everybody here.
Exactly.
But I will say with this period piece, though, man. I'm gonna tell you this, man, and I think this is when you're writing your own stuff, you kind of close out the world like it's the only one ever done. What you got to do with the period pieces, you got to move like you're already aware of the genre. You don't need to hide as much. It's all about how people gonna react to it,
Well, I feel like the one of the difficulties of doing a period piece with zombies is that unlike vampires and werewolves, zombies can't talk unless you want to do something weird like, the Warm Bodies where he talks and monologues internally and stuff. Because like with werewolves and vampires, they have talking forms, you know what I mean? So it's like you have characters that you can create with these characters, even if it's horror based and stuff. Whereas zombies, they just are husks. So it's like you kind of like, oh, you don't have really characters that can talk, and you have to use a lot of characters. So it's like, I don't know. I always feel like that might be a little difficult thing because with a period piece, you have the aesthetic of the past, and then you also kind of want to mix it up with some interesting characters as well, which may be difficult in a genre like zombies.
Well, I don't think it's difficult. I think just, when it comes to a period piece, don't get too stuck on the period. Because, all you got to do is showcase fear. We've seen zombie films.
You're breaking up quite a bit.
Yeah, you're roboting.
Yeah, you're roboting quite a bit. You kind of got some lag, Moby. But
having a little piece problem.
You're sounding better there. All right. So what were you saying?
Well, all I'm saying is this: you got to understand setup. Don't worry about the period and the location. Because once you introduce they're in the period they're in, all you got to do is feed on the tropes, fear. They don't have grenades back then, so how are they gonna attack them? Because a lot of zombie films and not as much back then.
Well, sure,
yeah, they did. They had grenades in World War II.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm just saying you got to be aware of it.
I got a Gatling gun that's going to come up in the third act.
Yeah.
Let's just say they didn't have like high powered bombers or like surface to air missiles and stuff. Like
Yeah, but they had a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's not really Act 3. It's the end of Act 2.
At
the end of Act 2, we're going to break out a hand-cranked Gatling gun.
Quick question.
They didn't have the electronic motors in them, so they had to.
Yeah, the Hurricanes are tag teaming Moby's Wi-Fi. There we go.
Well, I guess I have one quick question, John. So, do you make a lot of references to the Nazi super weapons that they were developing, or they don't appear in your movie?
They got nothing to do with this.
Oh, okay. Because that's the kind of interesting thing about World War II is all the advancements in technology.
Did that movie where they were like zombies, flying Nazi zombies? I think it was called Iron Skies or something like that.
Yeah, Iron Sky.
Yeah.
How did that do? Has that come out yet? Or?
Yeah, that's been out forever.
It's had 3 or 4 sequels now.
Oh, okay. So that one did all right.
Yeah.
So,
it's kind of a Sharknado type movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it goes for the really outlandish.
Right.
And look, your story is really on the bubble right now. Like, I feel like it doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't want to be an outlandish zombie comedy, or does it want to be a more serious piece? And I'm left in this middle zone where I'm not sure how I should be feeling. So, because I would like it if it was outlandish. If you cranked up the outlandish, oh, okay, cool. I would like it if it were more serious. I would like it if you took it in a decisive direction. Go, this is what it is. Right now it's a little derivative. It's like, I want emotion. I want to feel things. That's what I want. All right. So, we have time and space.
Oh, you can skip my script. It's mostly just narration. So if you want to move on to somebody else,
all right.
Okay.
I just put it in there in case we needed one. So
Okay. All right. We have the baddest badass and Guinevere. Well, Guinevere gets preferential seating. There we go. Because she is so pretty. All right. Let's see. So I'm gonna go with Guinevere here, and then if necessary, we can come back to the baddest badass. But all right, Moby. Let's see. So this is page 1, panel 1. So we're starting from the beginning again.
Well, man, we were at last time. I said we just go to 10 because last time we read from page 1 to 10. We could start at 11 because y'all still doing the 10-page minimum. Right?
We are still doing the 10 pages. Yeah, 10-page maximum. Yeah.
Wow.
Somebody cried on the first episode of Attack on Titan. It's emotional. Because here's the thing: if you sit down and you read something, and at the end of the thing you're like, I mean, even if it had spectacular special effects and a sexy actress you kind of dig, if you didn't have a strong emotional reaction to the thing, you're gonna go, and you're not gonna come back to it later.
I would say also, I mean, Attack on Titan is also a TV show, so you get a lot more time to work with, and there is there's other plots to it than just simply the Titans, killing and eating people. Like, they're a huge part of the narrative, but it just depends on how much time you have and what you're telling and stuff, and how many characters you can work with.
Yeah. Yeah, Tales of Berseria made me cry manly tears. Okay, there we go.
Those were manly tears,
That's right. All right, so Moby, we're gonna need a Gatsby, a Guinevere, a narrator, and probably some other people, right?
I'll be the narrator.
Okay.
A lot of people have been asking me to do that. So.
All right.
Well, you got a nice voice.
You do have a nice voice. All right, we're gonna need a Gatsby. We're gonna need a Guinevere. And I'm looking through it. As far as I can tell, that's all we're going to need.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, what is that?
Except for Jiminy Cricket.
Is this? Well, are we going to get sued by Disney now?
I think so,
Exactly.
Is that the actual Jiminy Cricket from Pinocchio, or is it just the name?
Well, it's just the name, but I'll leave it to the artists. What they call that, the artist's choice.
All right, Moby. We're going to need a Gatsby, a Guinevere, a Jiminy Cricket, and someone that reads captions.
All right. Well, Larry could be Gatsby. Preston could be Guinevere, and
I guess am I also the villainous lady?
Or the villainous lady could be William.
William. Okay, William.
Okay. I guess someone's got to be Gwen. I don't know.
Okay, sure. You assign Guinevere to me. That's totally fine.
Okay. So I guess we got Jiminy Cricket. Who's going to do that?
Yeah.
That could be Larry.
Okay.
I mean John, my man. I don't know. Right. Oh yeah, we got to start at page 11.
Page 11.
Yeah, because we read page 1 to 10.
All right. Well, it's been a while, so why don't you recap the action on pages 1 through 10 for us?
Well, basically, what happened is that Gatsby and Guinevere they took a trip to Australia, and they were ambushed by a fire-worshipping Egyptian cult, and this is the aftermath.
And that happens when you go to Australia?
That's right. Egyptians could be anywhere at any time.
Exactly. So now we're on page 11. All right. So now we're going to need a robber. Still got a villainous lady. Who was that? William's a villainous lady. All right. We're going to need a caption reader.
I'll take that.
Okay, fine. All right. Well, then you're going to be reading a lot of this, and we're going to need Zoena.
It could be William.
All right. And Solara Sunrise.
That's the same William. It's the same character.
Oh, okay. Got it. Sorry.
It's evolved.
All right. And we got Gatsby. Who was Gatsby again? And I'm Guinevere.
That's me. Yeah.
Gatsby Guinevere. Lifeguard. I'll be the lifeguard. Why the hell not? All right, so I'm Guinevere and the lifeguard. All right, fair enough. Let's come back to page 11.
We're gonna bring Preston back to his Baywatch days.
There we go. I miss having Vicky around, but
all right,
we had to go off. All right.
Let's move on.
Yeah. It's nice having a late.
I'll read it. Panel 1: the cop cruiser behind the robbers driving is slamming into the fire hydrant. Panel 2: Solar Sunrise is flying in front of the robbers' car towards them as they shoot at her. Panel 3: the robbers are driving towards Solar Sunrise at full speed. Solar Sunrise is flying low right in front of the car with her left hand gripping her right wrist as the robbers shoot right at her. Robber.
Who's that again?
I don't think we chose a robber. I mean, I could be robber.
Go for it.
This is your dying. This is your dying day, sunrise, bitch.
Good one.
A flash of light with the text sun solar flash speed lines. That's just panel 5. Solar Sunrise is taking a photo with the police officers and handcuffed robbers in custody. Page 12, panel 1, midnight in the woods in a trance. Men varying ages, only in their underwear, are walking in a line, tossing their shirts into a large campfire with the villainous lady levitating over it. 1 month ago, deep in the woods, far from the sounds of Jersey City. Villainous
Yeah,
lady.
I heard some crazy stuff was going on in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Cast
If it's
aside
Jersey, why are they throwing their shirts in and not their underwear?
Yeah.
Oh, 'cause it's Jersey, not Florida. My bad.
Cast aside the garments that bind you to a society that has long since persecuted your existence, for you men no longer shall be doomed to bloom in the shadows, concealing your masculinity.
Wait, then that
Over.
would be their underwear.
Yeah.
One, their underwear binds them, and it
Yeah.
feels their masculinity.
Hey, man,
I mean,
it's PG-13, man.
yeah, this is an erotica.
Over 40 men of varying ages are sitting in a circle around the campfire. Villainous lady who is still levitating over the campfire.
Like the fire lit by a desire to be free, you men shall come as though moths seeking to be beside the warming embrace of the light.
Panel 3. The men of varying ages are yelling in pain as a symbol of fire is being written upon their face in fire. Some are holding their faces, some are rolling around in agony.
For from this day forth, your mind, body, and soul are bound to our goddess.
Panel 4, 23 out of the over 40 men are standing, their eyes of flame, their hair of flames, while the rest are on the ground as burning corpses.
Our goddess sleeps in a vessel within the city, and we shall awaken her with the hellish blazing of monuments they hold so dear of their society.
Page 13, panel 1, afternoon, high school football stadium. Mishlo, age 16, is heading towards the locker room along with the rest of his football team. Present day Jersey City. An explosion of fire from the entrance to the locker room. Fiery explosion outside of the football stadium. The entire football stadium is on fire. Mishlo is passing out. The firefighters are racing towards the fire. Solar Sunrise is flying over the burning football stadium, witnessing the firefighters fighting a losing battle. Solar Sunrise is diving towards the burning football field below, colliding with her hand on the field, cracking the field. Massive amounts of dirt from the field, soil flying all over with a strong wind, putting out the flames. Page 14, Zona is sitting beside the hospital bed, holding her brother's hand, who is unconscious, connected to breathing tubes with a stream of tears in her eyes. The Zona character.
Who's that?
I'll do that.
Okay.
Big brother, if only I had arrived sooner. You just wouldn't be going through.
Zona is kissing the forehead of her unconscious brother, tears still streaming from her eyes. Her mother and father walking in tears as well.
Big brother, I will find out who did this, I swear. Just hold on.
In the afternoon, Solar Sunrise is flying above Jersey City looking for any signs of fire. Right. Moments later.
Wait, is Solar Sunrise and Zoan the same person?
Yeah, same person.
Oh, okay. I think then those were my lines. Then I completely got confused. Okay. As bold as they were to cause such harm during the morning, they will only be bolder under the setting sun.
A white minivan is crashing into a large hospital driveway. Villainous lady.
Our actions shall continue to ignite the fright that comes witnessing the bright fiery sight of chaos.
8 men of various ages, shirtless, wearing ancient Egyptian clothing, hair of flames and eyes of flames, are charging into the hospital. Some of the various men are surrounding the hospital. Panel one, about 4 of the Egyptian fire cult men are sitting down in prayer on top of a burning pyramid of fire that surrounds the large hospital. The pyramids of fire over 12 feet tall. A hot second later.
They shall feel the fiery hell of our goddess before hope upon this day.
Panel two, a close up of Guinevere applying lipstick.
Truly, darling, this is far from a moment of sexual preparation, don't you agree?
Panel three, Jersey City Road. Guinevere is making a hard turn to avoid fireballs flying from the back of the open minivan trunk door where the men are firing fireballs by the Egyptian cult men towards Gatsby's 1930s convertible car with the roof down. Gatsby is in the passenger seat yelling at Guinevere.
Gatsby, just admit that you're more worried about this old car of yours than me losing my life?
Well, it's one of a kind, Guinevere.
Oh, I'm replaceable.
God damn it, woman, why are you mad?
Gatsby is flying towards the minivan in front of the car, shielding the fireballs, flying towards the car behind fiery explosions from the fireballs hitting the road.
Gatsby, always a runner when the questions get tough, huh?
Well, woman, if there's a dent on that car, by God, I will find a way to visit your parents and hold a party in agreement of your failure as a daughter.
Oh, you don't want to get personal at a time like this. Well, I'm going to bid that Marilyn Monroe picture you gave me for my birthday.
You wouldn't dare.
What does it mean to bid it? I don't know.
Auction it, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I would use auction there. All right.
Oh, my bad. Gatsby is crashing right into the stop sign. Gatsby is rolling backwards on the road as Guinevere drives past him towards the minivan in front of her with her middle finger up.
Not the time to roll over like a dog, Gatsby.
Panel one, Gatsby has his hands on the road, energy aura rising as water is geysering from the road, rising upwards from the sewer.
This ends now.
Guinevere is still driving forward as water is geysering from the sewer towards the van. At a public pool, a lifeguard is yelling at some kids running around the pool. Public pool not too far from the road.
Stop running, you damn brats!
The lifeguard, along with the children, are running away from the pool as a van is crashing towards it from above.
Run!
Gatsby is holding one of the only barely surviving Egyptian cult members, whose flames are dim on his hair and eyes as Guinevere is looking in the pool beside the van, barely floating over it.
Gatsby, are you sure you didn't kill anyone with all this craziness?
Guinevere doll, if you don't mind silence, I'm trying to focus on finding where this drone of a fool was heading before he found out that he couldn't swim.
I know you killed something, but where?
Do I look like a second-grade public school magic graduate?
Guinevere is holding a dead squirrel by the tail with skid marks all over it as Gatsby flies away.
I don't think the squirrel agrees by the looks of it.
Squirrels die all the time, so quit looking for a cause on me and let's move on.
Spoken just like a murderer without an ounce of compassion.
Panel set one, a close up of a fly trap plant looking at the men meditating on the pyramid of fire. So Laura Sunrise is flying fast as she can towards the hospital with a look of shock and tears falling down her eyes.
Oh, they're attacking the hospital. Big brother, I'm coming.
Inside the hospital first floor, the Egyptian fire cult are attacking the security guards, hitting them with fireballs. So Laura Sunrise is evading a fireball being fired towards her by one of the Egyptian cult sitting on the burning pyramid.
Let's just see how you'll fare against the sun.
So Laura Sunrise is blasting the Egyptian fire cult man with a sun solar flash, which is her bright beam of light blasting from her right palm as she holds her right wrist with her left hand, but the Egyptian fire cult guy is blocking it with a wall of fire.
Sun solar flash!
So Laura Sunrise is holding her right hand towards the sky with her left hand still on her right wrist as a fire blast, I think black, from the Egyptian fire cult guy is heading towards her.
Sun solar flash!
She's like a Street Fighter character.
Hey man.
Yeah, I'm just channeling my inner Shonen Jump weeb, you know. Dragon Ball Z, My Hero Academia, just got channel that Shonen Jump.
All right.
You gotta unleash your ki, man. You know,
right.
Gatsby appears in front of so Laura Sunrise, signaling her to stop.
Whatever you're about to do, darling, don't.
I have people I care about in that hospital. Move aside.
Always the hardest, I suppose.
Well, I can't see Big Steve.
Gatsby's kissing.
Gatsby's kissing Laura Sunrise passionately, hearts all over some of even flying out the panel.
Kiss of dreams.
So Laura Sunrise is unconscious, falling downwards towards the old classical car driven by Guinevere below as Gatsby looks.
So she does taste of sunflowers.
Guinevere is driving off, so Laura Sunrise is knocked out in the passenger seat as Gatsby is flying towards the very top of the hospital roof. Gatsby is on top of the hospital roof, blasting energy towards the sky.
Light of the just, tell us the deeds deemed unjust.
Panel one, all of the Egyptian fire cult guys are being tossed out of the hospital from the very similar energy Gatsby is emitting right out of the window from the second floor to the very top floor. Gatsby is barely standing, appearing out of breath, sweating as a fireball is heading towards him from above.
Oh, few that look more out of me than a night at the bar I might need.
Gatsby is on his knees, blocking the huge fireball from above, fired by the villainous lady with 25 Egyptian cult members.
And here I thought you were not interested in seeing me again.
Your corpses will be scorched for days as the city burns, Gatsby.
Well, you know my name. That's first base then.
So Laura Sunrise is rubbing her head facing the side of the road while in the passenger seat of the classical car beside Guinevere, who's the driver in the seat.
Wow, Gatsby wasn't kidding. He has no need for pills to leave a girl out cold. I just wonder how much is his lip balm. I might need to knock a couple of cops when I'm speeding through Vegas come next month.
What's going on? Where am I?
No need to worry, girlfriend. Like an insurance company would say, you're in good hands.
So Laura Sunrise has her hands glowing facing Guinevere.
We need
That's me. I don't have time for this, people. I have time for this. People I love were in that hospital. Either tell me what's what, or I'll leave you for the cops.
I have one strike left, but basically Gatsby had to stop you from attacking one of those burning pyramid sitters, because if you can't attack them all at once, you'll just trigger an explosion.
Solar Sunrise is flying towards the hospital, and Guinevere is right behind her, driving at full speed in the classical car.
On the second thought, I'll stick to drugging people with pills. The lip balm side effects could have been a broken neck.
Solar Sunrise is above the Egyptian fire cult guy from before, using her violent vines, basically the vines attached to her hand, is flying towards the Egyptian fire cult guy on the burning pyramid as Guinevere is driving towards him, shooting at him with a submachine gun. Solar Sunrise violent vine is hitting the ground right beside the Egyptian fire cult guy, who is looking in confusion. Gatsby is being held in place, standing by several Egyptian fire cult guys on the roof, badly injured as they punch him, as the villainous lady watches from above with several other flying Egyptian cult guys.
Villainous lady.
Okay. Gatsby, before those who hold our goddess dearly below make the ultimate sacrifice to bring forth her wrath, you will be beaten to kneel in her honor.
All right, and now there we go. Those are pages.
That was it, man. Thank you.
Pages. So, what do we think?
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
I love the
Yeah.
Guinevere and Gatsby bits. That was really
Yeah.
Yeah,
very cute, like a squabbling married couple.
a squabbling married couple, exactly.
Yeah, and so Guinevere and Gatsby are your characters, Preston?
Yes, they. Well, I mean, technically, I think Gatsby might belong to F. Scott Fitzgerald, but starting next year, Gatsby as a wizard. That's gonna be my idea. Yeah.
Okay, so they're both wizards.
Well, the original F. Scott Fitzgerald Gatsby is not a wizard.
Okay.
Although he does some pretty cool stuff. He won a medal from Little Montenegro. He was.
You published two books, right? So far with this
Yeah.
character. Why are you still talking like an attorney who can't say that?
Because it
Technically, it's not in public
because if
domain.
you look at Guinevere,
Oh, okay. So,
Jay
Gatsby.
Gatsby.
Gatsby. You're talking about the. You're talking about the character from the novel that was played
Yes.
by Leonardo DiCaprio in
Yes.
this film.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, but he's also a wizard. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Yes, the novel enters public domain in January of next year. So I'm looking to capitalize on the novel character as a wizard. So
Okay, and what is that? And Guinevere is your creation,
yes,
and like, what is she like? What does she do?
she does magic,
Okay.
and she is an apprentice wizard in my story. I mean, what level of magic she can wield here seems to be a little more. But you would assume when she's dating a master wizard like Gatsby, she's going to be picking up some cool tricks. So
Okay.
what level he has her at, I don't know. But when I'm writing her in terms of power level, she's kind of low on the magic using totem pole.
So is this supposed to be like a kind of a magical retelling of The Great Gatsby, or is that just something completely different?
Are you asking me or are you asking Moby?
I guess for both your guys' stories, since you're using the same characters, right?
I'm not. No. I'm using some themes.
Okay.
Yeah, like I don't want to start launching into my stuff because this is Moby's stuff. So
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
I just, I guess I'm not familiar enough with all this
Okay.
stuff.
Well, I mean, from what I read from the books, Preston's has it that, Gatsby's, he's not going with the old wizard thing. You know how wizards lived a long time and he's dull, has no life. He has the guy still is Gatsby, the party animal, but a wizard with some wisdom.
Yeah.
But what I did is I referenced Preston's work, but what I wanted to do, keep it more PG-13
Yeah.
around my route. That way, I'm doing a crossover where I'm showing respect to what Preston wrote, but I'm not repeating what he did.
Big Steve is a fan. But I mean, in terms of producing, I think I've just noticed there's an affinity for strong patriarchal, kind of well-off characters. Like, people loved Tony Stark, and of course, Robert Downey Jr. did a great job with that. But people really enjoyed Tony Stark. I think if we look at vampires, and vampire lore has become really popular, and vampire movies have become really popular, and vampires are traditionally kind of representative of the aristocrat who's kind of pulling strings behind the scenes, making things come about, kind of socially powerful people. And vampires have gone from being feared to really kind of, I think, being rather admired these days. And
romantic.
Romantic stuff with Twilight and all that. So I think if I'm just looking at culture, I think culture is yearning for in my own interpretation, I'm going to say, like, the capitalist, the guy who's pragmatic, who's solving things. I don't want to get too political, but who's getting things done, but at the same time, it clearly has some flaws. Maybe a bit philanderer, maybe too much of a party animal. Again, going with like the Tony Stark thing, but at the same time, still kind of powerful and directing things in a way that benefits the common man.
Yeah, the question is, are you going to use the phrase, it's just business?
I don't. The original Gatsby, I don't think used that phrase, to my knowledge.
Okay, because I mean, if like in the context of this story, if there's some inspiration from like that type of character, whatever and stuff, it's just
on occasion I will have them say old sport. That's about as close as I'm getting. So.
Okay.
When it comes to especially basing something on a public domain work, you have to be clear that what you are adapting is separate from the public domain versus what was adapted in the past that's been copyrighted.
Right.
That may still fall under copyright. Like, one of the things when I was researching for Wizard's Daughter and I was researching Robin Hood, the whole Robin Hood Maid Marian thing is not really very well developed in the original novel, or the original stories, The Adventures of Robin Hood, which are in public domain. Those were adapted later.
Right.
So any story that's based on Robin Hood and Maid Marian are still in copyright based on current works, not from the original.
Yeah, like a good example would be.
It's one of those things that if you want to adapt a public domain work, especially when it's been in the public for over 100 years or close to it, you have to be careful about what actually is public domain and what is not. It's like the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz is public domain, but the red ruby slippers are not.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of like it's like with Snow White, a good example. Like, if you can do Snow White, but if the Snow White dwarves were named like happy, dopey, angry and stuff, then you get sued by Disney, because I don't think the dwarves were ever named anything in the actual fairy tale.
I don't believe they were. No.
Yeah. So it's like you have to look at specific details. Like, if like you do a Robin Hood story, if Maid Marian gets killed by being stabbed by a sword, you get sued by the BBC for ripping off their, adaptation of the story. Yeah.
Big Stephen and Cara are having a romance over there, or perhaps inspired by our pages. But that's why I kind of like Gatsby. So I think he's pretty cool, and Moby seems to like Gatsby, and we're both seeing this kind of swaggering aspect of masculinity, which I think people are really hungry for right now.
Oh yeah, no, it makes sense, because having a very kind, a very a capitalistic protagonist is it's become a very unique thing nowadays, because especially given a lot of cultural norms and stuff have kind of been really against the idea of the nice businessman. They tend to not be anti-heroes or kind of scumbags, so it's a very refreshing take on a character type.
Glad you like it. So down to the pages at hand. We all seem to enjoy it. We kind of like the squabbly thing. It's comical, which is great. It has that tone to it. I was wondering if it was supposed to be funny, where we have a bunch of men throwing off their shirts and embracing a cult of masculinity on direct orders from a woman.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Hey man, that part I don't know, man. I just wrote it.
He was just thinking sexy fire lady,
Right.
and that's where it came from.
I was when I read that, I for some reason thought of the Honey Badgers, if you've heard of that group and stuff, because they're the female men's rights activists and stuff. Right. So it's like, is this a Honey Badger and stuff?
Right.
Or is it supposed to be like? Is she supposed to be like? I don't know. I think they call them like trad women, traditionalist women that are asking men to be men again.
Yeah.
Well, I say trad women to not. There's another term for them, but I don't know if that's monetizational friendly and stuff.
Okay.
One pressed and strike by a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman.
Exactly. But all right. I mean, do we have any other positive notes, Larry? You got any positive notes here outside of what we've already said?
No, I think I have the same sort of same sort of things. I like the back and forth for sure between Guinevere and Gatsby. That was really good. Yeah. So.
I also want to know what the other term is for trad wife or trad woman.
It's okay. It's basically the term thought.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, trad thought. That's like a term for people. There are women who do YouTube stuff promoting conservatism, and a lot of them tend to do non-marital sexual activities, which seems hypocritical. Yeah.
Okay. So
they're like e-girls. Think of e-girls who pretend to be conservative and traditional and stuff, and they do what?
Martina Marcota.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Lauren Southern. That's another one. Yeah.
Okay. As long as nobody's bashing Tommy Lauren, all right?
Well, I guess
both sides have to stick together, okay?
Yeah. Well, in terms of I
walk out into my balcony, I look up at the star, and I think somewhere not too far away from where I'm standing is the beautiful Tommy, who's when a strong man is going to come into her life.
Yeah. Anyway, as when it comes to positive notes, I mean, I like the whole little, like shouting out attacks. It's very anime-esque. Like that's always very entertaining. Yeah.
Fun. Yeah.
All right. Constructive notes. I mean, it seemed all right.
I'd say add more wacky attacks and stuff. That'd be fun.
I could see turning it up a little bit. I like how bitchy Guinevere is. I like Gatsby almost seems like henpecked by her.
I know that. She's the woman that knows how to get on his nerves.
She is, yes.
Man.
Her concerns seem like silly, and which it's a comedy, so you're allowed to be silly. But like she's kind of coming across as someone who's there to say silly things and not necessarily be taken seriously.
Kind of. Like I just wanted to, have where the conversation feels like it's moving. Like they're playing ping pong.
Sure.
He says something, he throws it right back, and they just keep going back and forth. Then when something serious comes in the middle, like sequences when they're not together, it's slowed down to make it seem more serious.
Okay.
Something like that. But Other than that, to me, I finalize it. Let me redeem myself. Let
Of
me
course. Okay. Now,
redeem
what
John.
did you mean when you posted it? When you said like the final pages?
Oh, the final.
Yeah.
Oh, that yeah. Well, that's finished.
Okay.
Took me but the book's done now.
Well, it's not finished until you're done with it.
Oh yeah, nah, it's finished. I got to 24.
Okay.
For
Fair
me,
enough.
I wanted to make it like a
I
quick episodic,
like it. I like it.
or word. But if y'all would indulge me, for John, let me redeem myself in front of John with
Okay.
10 more pages of that badass.
There's nothing. You haven't done anything wrong. You don't need to redeem yourself. We rather enjoy those pages. All right. Badass. Okay. Here we go. We got a Moby double feature today. Let's see. Sure.
John, I won't let you down, man.
All right. Here we are. We got.
So we're back to the porno script.
Oh yeah. I've been doing a lot of writing today, or no, like over the last weekend and stuff. But it's all been legal writing, which isn't nearly as much fun. Like I try and share it with people. Like I said to my friends, like I served this motion for summary judgment today, and like people are like, I'm not going to read your 9-page legal document.
Man.
Yeah.
You should bring that to the writers group, man. You
I
have to read it.
100%. I'm like, man, like it's boom. Like I feel like. I hate legal writing. Like legal writing is, it's bad. Come now, plaintiff, who on motion, it's it tends to fall into like jargon, and it uses the passive voice a lot, and it's written to be rather obtuse, and it often ends up being needlessly confusing. So, I come to it and I'm like, simple, clear, direct. Simple, clear, direct.
That's because you're not a lawyer, an attorney.
Right. But the thing is that ultimately, I think judges, and this is a real thing, judges like simple, clear, direct. They don't like all this pretentious, kind of weasel word garbage that just gets kind of turned in as motion a lot of times. They like simple, clear, direct. I look at my legal writing. I look at, I want a story, I want a protagonist, I want a villain, and here's what's happening, Judge. Here's what we got. So that's
Right. Give me 1 second. Let me just use this quick. Preston's Law and Order.
Yeah.
So who's who? Like who's voicing who?
So are we doing page 1 through?
We're doing page. We could do 10 to. We're reading. What is it? 10 pages. So we could start at 11 to.
Okay.
What is it? 11 to 20.
All right. So refresh my memory. What happened last time?
Well, basically, a father picked up his daughter, and he forced her to kill some piglets, and he made her kill the pigs with her bare hands.
Wow.
He's preparing her for something critical that's coming, where he won't be able to protect her, and he's training her.
All right.
This was after he hung from the chandeliers.
Oh yeah.
And there was also sex. Yeah.
Right.
So there was a lot of nudity
and penis is going in places.
Yeah, it's too bad we didn't. Yeah, it's too bad since we're all guys. One of us having to voice the girl, that would have been interesting.
Man, I think those would be scenes you can't show your parents on this screen.
All right, so we got a Michael Sapphire. We got a Sufane Sapphire.
Safina, my bad.
Safina. All right. Well, Moby, this is your script. Assign the parts. So we got.
All right, I'll do the narrating. I think John could be the McNeil.
All right.
I think Larry could be Safina character, and anything else y'all could take it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Page 11, panel 1. Go for it.
The next morning, only wearing his pajamas, McNeil is tapping a sleeping Safina who is on a hammock with his foot while eating some ribs.
Baby Sweets, time to wakey wake.
Daddy, I thought I was a baddie, not a baby sweets no more.
Hey, you'll always be my Baby Sweets, but to the world, you'll be the baddest badass.
Both wearing full camping gear, McNeil is pointing at a mountain far ahead of them. Deeper in the forest, McNeil is eating the wild boar mother's leg. McNeil, eating the head of the boar, is walking on a log that's a bridge towards the other side of the forest. Below the log is the river, and Safina is too scared to walk on the log.
Okay, I gotta. So is he like standing there holding the head while picking pieces off of it? Like,
That's
how do
right.
we know it's the head?
Hey man, it's the head of the wild boar. It's cooked. It's cooked.
So he's holding the head, I'm guessing like a football, and he's
Oh
just,
yeah.
like, picking pieces off of it while eating. I'm just
Oh,
trying to visualize how this panel is supposed to look.
Oh yeah, you're right. Man.
Yeah.
Is he munching on the head like
Hey,
an apple?
man,
Yeah. Pretty much.
that's awesome.
I'm sorry, just that.
Sufina.
This is scary.
Scarring. There we go.
This is scaring.
Scarring.
Scarring, sorry.
Look, either you cross this log, or that bear behind us gets a meal.
Safina is running past McNeil, who is still eating on the log.
No, no.
McNeil is tossing what's left of the boar's head towards the mouth of the grizzly bear behind him, as Safina is pointing at him while across the log bridge.
Daddy, it's the best big bear.
McNeil is riding on top of the grizzly bear, eating some piglet ribs as the bear is chewing on the head of the boar behind the grizzly. In shock, Safina is still pointing at the bear in shock.
Hey, stop being rude and pointing at my ride.
Safina is pointing at the tall mountain in front of them, while the bear and McNeil are both sharing the legs of the boar, eating on opposite sides.
Daddy, big bear, we're here. Look.
Panel 3. McNeil is holding Safina's hand, while the grizzly bear standing is holding on to McNeil's hand as they stare in awe at the mountain before them. McNeil is aiming a grappling hook gun towards the top of the mountain that is connected to the back of Safina's backpack while standing on top of the grizzly bear's back.
Sabrina, this is going to the sheer determining factor whether you will step toward your future or be a stepping stone for others.
What do you mean, Daddy? I'm not a step.
Don't interrupt me again. You understand.
Yes.
Panels. The grappling hook fired from the gun is attached to the very edge of the mountain up top. McNeil is pointing towards the rope attached to the grappling hook up top of the edge of the mountain while having his hand on Safina's shoulder.
From here on out, you're on your own. You'll face the calm without any aid, and if you give up and fail to meet me and the grizzly on the top of the mountain, I will not only return you to your mother, but this will be the last moment we spend together.
This is heavy shit, man.
See, Sabrina, you are no longer in my presence. You're before the will of life, and you strive past the obstacles or lie in await.
I'm a bigger girl now, not scared of upping the mountain, Daddy.
McNeil is eating more of the boar with the grizzly on an object floating towards the top of the mountain as Safina is looking up with the rope in hand, tears streaming down her face.
Daddy leaving, and I am but I gotta be braver, even if it's scary.
Safina is climbing towards the top of the rope by wheeling in the rope. See, as she pulls up, the rope pulls her upwards as McNeil and the grizzly bear watch while eating ribs from above. Safina is about 6 feet above the ground looking down.
How high or more do I have to keep going?
Safina is a quarter of the way to the mountain looking down, sweating a lot, though no more tears, with a look of determination.
I'm tired of this. Maybe if I pull harder at the bottom, I'll get to the tippy top to see Daddy.
Safina has her legs up against the wall of the mountain on the rope, then letting go of her feet, the rope pulls her all the way towards the top. The grizzly bear is holding onto Safina, who is on the edge of the mountain with its paws as McNeil watches with a rib in his mouth and a smile. Safina is riding the grizzly with a huge smile and tears as McNeil is clapping as they stand at the very top of the mountain.
Daddy, Daddy, Big Bear, I made it. I made it.
You sure did, badass of daughter of mine.
Safina, McNeil, and the grizzly bear are sitting at the edge of the mountain looking towards the forest below.
See, Safina, this feeling, this moment is what your life will resemble from now on.
I don't look like a mountain, Daddy.
True that, daughter of mine, but it's not about looking like a mountain. No, it's far from that.
Safina sitting on McNeil's shoulder, who is standing as the grizzly bear remains seated on the edge of the mountain.
Safina, you're going to live life on the highest edge from now on. The closest thing to experiencing normal is witnessing it from above. So far to ever participate, yet so close.
Daddy, higher.
Safina is standing on McNeil's shoulder with her hands aimed towards the sky, smiling, and the bear is standing with its paw towards the sky. You know what I'm saying? And what is it? I forget what is that? Interior outdoor rooftop pool after noon. 3 years later at a pool party, Yakuza event. So some are shirtless with tattoos. A Yakuza member is being shot right through the head by a wind sniper rifle fire. So it appears that a strong wind is going through his head. A now 13-year-old Safina, dressed in military gear with face painting on, is aiming the futuristic wind sniper rifle towards the rooftop pool at another rooftop edge with a smile on her face.
I got the shot you're on now, Daddy.
That's my girl. You keep this up and you might even earn a trip to the hardware store.
McNeil is in the main office of the Yakuza boss as a waiter, holding on to the wine drinks over a plate as the boss signals to the men the room to leave. All the men leaving are armed. Preston, you beat a
Leave my sight and silence the disturbance outside.
McNeil is shooting the Yakuza boss dead with a futuristic wind silencer, blood flying from the wood, the wine still on his hand. A group of futuristic helicopters carrying the armed Yakuza members towards Safina, who is on the rooftop, waving at them as they shoot towards her.
You want little miss me dead? Take your best shot.
A large smoke bomb has exploded, causing some of the helicopters to fly off course. Safina is running on the side of the building above her, the helicopter flying towards her from the smoke. Explosions above. Safina is flying backwards, tossing futuristic energy bomb grenades towards the helicopter, flying towards her as she is falling beside the building. A massive explosion beside the building, helicopter parts and half of the body of a Yakuza member is flying out of the panel. Safina is flying outside of the explosion towards McNeil's RV, not too far above. Panel 5, Safina is sitting on top of the RV roof beside McNeil, who is still wearing his waiter clothing and the grizzly bear eating some noodles.
So what's next, Daddy?
Not sure. We'll decide after I get some shut-eye.
Panel 1, midnight. High above the city, Safina is sitting beside the grizzly bear who is sleeping, looking at a photo.
It's been 3 long years through missing you. It makes me seem like as though an eternity since I've seen you, Mom.
A close-up of the photo in Safina's hand with the image of her 3 years ago sitting beside her father and mother on a park bench smiling.
From what Daddy has told me, we might never be a family again when it's all said and done.
Safina's hugging the photo, resting her head up against the grizzly bear.
I don't know why we can't all be together, but Daddy's tone when I asked... Oh, you're covering my... Sorry. But Daddy's tone when I asked why, it can't be good.
Panel 4, next morning, McNeil and Safina are walking towards a very 1920s gas station in the middle of nowhere in the countryside, both dressed casually.
Daddy, where are we going?
I gotta see an old friend.
Panel 5, McNeil is shaking Chef Shepard's hand as Safina stands behind him. All right, somebody.
Right on time as always.
You, me, always punctual.
Safina is being shot from behind, but no blood, and she is falling from the impact as it's a tranquilizer beam. Panel 1, McNeil along with Chef Shepard are carrying Safina towards the inside of the gas station market.
Why can't you use knockout gas like a normal mad scientist for once?
Gas just takes too long to take effect. Besides, with the trauma she's about to endure, the last thing she needs risk of seeing this coming.
Okay, you're right, Shepard.
I know.
Panel 2, half page inside a laboratory beneath the gas station. McNeil has his hand on a water chamber similar to the medical machine from Dragon Ball Z, but far bigger. Safina is floating in the chamber with something covering her mouth. She is asleep. Chef Shepard is typing on a hovering keyboard.
Waiting for your word to start.
Ah, damn, this is the only step I can take. Forgive me, Chef.
Needles inside of the machine are being injected into the spine, palms, legs, head of a screaming in pain and blood leaking from the injections.
I take it that's Safina there?
Yeah, my
Okay,
bad.
fair enough, fair enough.
Panel 19.
She's had a very hard life, I just want to say.
Hey man, you in the future, man. You being raised.
Life is hard in the future.
Safina is shaking in the machine with needles being injected into Safina's neck.
Into her neck, right.
Safina seems lifeless in the machine with needles plunged all over her body. McNeil has his hand on the glass of the machine.
Safina, my daughter, you'll not only survive this, but you'll thrive, I swear.
Safina is growing at a rapid rate, screaming in pain. Her clothing is ripping off. She is going from 4'9" to 6'3" and muscular like the image of the Baddest Badass reference. Her clothing is completely off, her body torn off, floating in a chamber as she is now completely naked and unconscious.
I don't know if I'm supposed to find that sexy or disturbing.
Yeah, I got a comment to make, but we'll
do you
get to the end first.
do you guys want the FBI coming to your house? I think I just heard knocking at my door.
So this runs into an interesting comment that was made when I posted something about Blood Feud.
Right.
Because it comes down to And my argument is women come in all different shapes and sizes.
Yes.
I know women that are 30 years old that are 4'11" and 90 pounds.
Yeah.
And and different people have different body types that they like. I happen to like the 4'11", 90-pound size of a girl. So when I make my 200-year-old vampire 4'11" and 90 pounds, I have people commenting that, oh, she's got a 12-year-old's body. Well, women come in that size.
They do.
Yes.
What you did was took a 13-year-old girl, put her in the body of an adult, but she's still a 13-year-old girl.
But I think that makes her legal.
Technically,
So this is where the thing is the body size and shape what makes it legal, or is it the age?
I think it's still the age.
That's what you're going to have to deal with when you have your readers, and that's what's going to throw them on and off.
Yeah.
It's like a Captain Marvel situation where he's technically a 10-year-old boy in an adult's body, so he's theoretically breaking the law if he drinks alcohol.
Right.
All right, page 20, panel 1.
Again, just something to... Okay, we'll go on.
I hear you, John, man. Trust me, I hear that. Hospital-like room, now with long, unkept beard and hair, appearing worried. McNeil is standing over a futuristic hospital bed where Safina is laying on the bed, her eyes closed on a respirator, the lower half of her body covered by a chamber of sorts. 2 weeks later. Panel 2, same room as the previous panel. McNeil is rubbing Safina's head. 5 weeks later.
I just hope that when you finally regain consciousness that you'll be willing to listen, for I know that there will be far more rage than joy for having to grow up and abandon your youth alongside the innocence you had to sacrifice in joining me on this journey.
Outside, both seated on a bench behind the gas station, McNeil and Chef are smoking a cigar. 2 months later.
It's very odd to see you consumed by worrying and doubt. When you have such a strong young lady?
Chief, we've known one another far past the spinning sun of one lifetime.
That indeed.
Then you know that I'm far from worried about whether my daughter will pull through and this stand before, as the true issue is if she will be sane enough to remain by my side or too far gone.
Chef is facing McNeil.
Have you ever given her a hint as to why you've taken so much away from her over these last few years?
I haven't told her everything, but I've given her enough reasons to understand that we've had to throw away the life that we once cherished, not out of fear, but out of preparation. For if we remained with her mother, the danger coming would only lead to the loss of everything.
Chef is patting McNeil on the shoulder, who is still sitting on the bench.
Well, old friend, with what she has become, no matter how bloodthirsty Rhaegar roaring is, you'll at least have a fighting chance.
Words I truly needed to hear.
That's what friends are for. All right, and that is the end of page 20. So, all right. Well, Big Steve says, FBI, open up. All right, John, what do we think? We'll start with the positive stuff.
Positives.
All right, yes.
So, some of the first part of the pages,
Yes.
kind of gave me reminiscent of, and I never read the comic, but so I'm going to base my comment on the movie. But Kick-Ass. Nick Cage and his daughter Chloe something, their kind of relationship kind of reminded me of that, and I kind of in Kick-Ass, I kind of like the relationship that they had, as twisted and as demented as it was. I mean, like really one of the first times we introduced them, he's shooting her in the chest to get her used to feeling a bullet hitting a bulletproof vest.
It girl.
That was early on in the first film. So it kind of reminded me of that, and it was kind of fun to play with that idea because I think it's an interesting idea, and I think you kind of play with that and have some fun with it. So I did like that.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing. That reminded me of Hit Girl and Big Daddy.
Yeah.
And any other positives, William?
Yeah, I thought the premise is pretty interesting and stuff. And yeah, and then the transformation stuff was unexpected. They basically decided to age her up from being a kid to being an adult, basically, which is pretty interesting. And it'd be kind of cool to explore the psychological effects of going from being like a kid to like basically being in an adult's body. Must be really weird.
What was that movie with Tom Hanks? Big.
That was, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like like in Captain Marvel or Shazam, because naming rights thing. They kind of do play at like a kid acting like an adult. Like it's very different from a kid and an adult when it comes to how they act and stuff. So, the psychological effects of having to basically be an adult body is like very apparent for a kid.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's what I'm going for. I'm trying to. I was basically trying to combine. Y'all named two of the elements. The Big Daddy Hit Girl. That was subconscious. I wasn't aware of that until y'all brought that out. Then the Shazam, I'm bringing that with the element of Captain America. Remember how Captain America, had to go through that thing where they stab him with these needles, and all of a sudden his whole body changes, and that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, but he was an adult and consented to that. But we'll get to that.
But John, man, parental advisor.
There we go, Larry.
I think it's called a social services.
Larry.
I love the stuff where we're in the wilderness, just trucking around with dead pigs and bears and stuff like that.
I was confused about the bear. Was the bear like a pal?
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
They were riding them around and stuff. That was fun. Yeah. And it takes like a really dark twist later on. So.
Yeah, I mean, like it's. Now, but my question, like, when you're writing this, are you thinking like, this is probably going to piss people off?
Hey, man, I'm aware, man.
As long as you're aware, because that's like the important thing as the writer. Like coming back to, if you're aware when you write the scene, like I was telling John, you write the scene, have an emotion in mind of what you want the readers to feel.
Well,
and go ahead.
I was going to say, well, I mean, in anime, it's a very common trope to see kids pushed to the brink by adults, like in My Hero Academia with Shoto Todoroki, kid gets basically beat the crap out of him by his dad and stuff to make him strong. So it's a very common thing in Japanese anime. So I think there's an audience for that and stuff. Just in America, we're kind of more soft on kids. So it's kind of disturbing for us.
It is kind of traumatizing to Western. Yeah. I'm pretty sure if this was,
because we spoiled.
I'm pretty sure if this was like in India, they'd probably be like, "Oh yeah, that's fine." Yeah.
They'd ask why she isn't married yet.
Exactly.
I took some notes from John when I read it last time. I was going too dark. I gotta still go the dark route, but add a little humor. That's why I turned the bear.
Now I'm going to go into my other problem, which is you're tonally all over the map.
Okay.
You have no consistent tone. So it starts out with the bear, who's now a buddy. So I'm thinking, okay, this is more comedic in tone. So you've gone the comedy route where you have an anthropomorphic bear that is a buddy. And now we go right back into the dark, sadistic, sadomasochistic, making of a sociopath. And it's like, you got to pick a tone. You can, if you want to do the sociopath, make it a comedic sociopath, and you can keep the consistent tone that way, or just go all in with your dark, depressing, but so I feel like, well, I have an idea that, but I don't know if you're gonna like it. But I guess as my issues with the last time is that, and I'm gonna parrot a little bit of Preston's comments on my script, though. Well, actually, different from my script where Preston says he has no emotional connection. I have a range of emotional connections.
I got to say what on this one. I'm like, well, I'm all over the place.
It's like I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about these characters because how they're behaving keeps changing, and there's no consistency of what my emotional connection is supposed to be to them. So I kind of feel like, and this, and I don't understand. Okay, so I don't understand why the father feels the need to do what he's doing.
Presumably, there's a big threat, right? I mean,
right. I know that there's a big bad, and I know and he's preparing her to fight the big bad. Right. But the thing that I guess I don't quite understand, that's all fine and good. And if this was based on a real life story that you were just futurizing, okay, maybe we could say, that, but in a fictional world, I kind of feel like you can make some creative decisions that will help. For example, and this was just a thought that occurred to me when we were reading those pages. And the other thing is, when she's talking in the beginning, I thought she was 5. I forgot she was 10. She's talking like a 5-year-old, but we don't. Anyway, so here's another thought. Let's say you age her up to 16. Okay?
There we go.
In the beginning, she's 16. She's a happy-go-lucky girl without a care in the world because this is the future where, you put you can do anything. I mean, like, just think of our technology on steroids. The future. Our technology is making our kids lazy and all of that crap. So she's a happy-go-lucky girl, 16, whole life ahead of her. Then she comes home one day and her mother is brutally murdered, entrails all over the place, blah, 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 blah. Her father comes in, whisks, just go with me. So her father comes in and whisks her away. Then they go to the wilderness. Then you do the whole wilderness thing with now someone who already is a young woman. She is more mature, so she can handle some of these things a little bit more maturely. Then you can kind of do your whole 3-year training thing, which now makes her 19. Then you can and then I would have her be more involved in going through this procedure. Maybe she heard about this procedure, or maybe she got into one of her dad's books or something and read about it and said, "What is this?" And he's like, "No, that's too experimental. You don't want to do that." And she's like, "No, I want to do this." And then he says, "Well, if you're serious about you want to do this, then that maybe she finds that when they're 16 or something." And then they go to the woods and she knows she's preparing for this procedure, and they go through the whole training thing. Now she's now 19. She's 19. She's a consenting adult. She goes into the thing, and that I think kind of takes out some of the sociopathic tendencies that is kind of rifling the script, because it also gives the daughter motivation, seeing her mother brutally murdered, or maybe they were at home or something and she witnesses her. I mean, if you want to get really dark, maybe she witnesses her mother get brutally raped and murdered. Maybe they're about to come on to raping her, and then her father comes home, saves her, kills the guy or whatever.
Like you do.
Something along those lines. It makes him a little bit more heroic. it makes her actually puts her in a position where she wants to get stronger because she doesn't want what happened to her mother to happen again. Maybe the big bad is responsible for that and she wants revenge. So it kind of, and as a 16-year-old, she's mature enough that she can be involved in these decisions rather than have it be thrust on her. And then when you go through that, and then when you go through her going through the whole, Captain America and the whole that thing, it's something that she wants, and it's something that, and then you can also have maybe she almost dies during the procedure, and it's her will and determination that she's powers through it or something along those lines. It allows us to kind of connect with her a bit more as a hero, because right now I just see her as a victim of her evil sociopathic father, and I feel nothing but sympathy for her. I don't feel like I'm excited for her to be a superhero. I feel like she's a victim and I feel sorry for her. So I think if you're trying to set up, especially for a first issue, that you want to build this character up to be your badass superhero, superheroine, I think something along those lines would set that up a lot better than what you've got.
Here's what I would say. Did you ever watch Alias?
Oh yeah.
That's a great show. At least the first 3 seasons was pretty good. It kind of went downhill when J.J. Abrams got on the Lost and all that other stuff. But we start off with Sydney Bristow, and it's the pilot episode, and she gets kind of sucked into SD6, and she's the super cool person whose dad sells them airplane parts, but she finds out he's actually kind of a spy. And then we end up at the end of the pilot where it's, father and daughter kind of spy team against SD6. But as, over like the next 2 seasons, she starts to discover these secrets about her childhood that she couldn't quite remember very well. And she's starting to realize that maybe her father wasn't a good man to her and maybe shouldn't be trusted, and we, the audience, are kind of intrigued because we know who Sydney is and we want her to like her dad because they're both on the good guy side against SD6. But as she's discovering the bad things, well, now it gives us a little bit of ambivalence, but we still kind of have this feeling of, well, I want them to still kind of work it out, but he should apologize for the screwed up shit he did to her. And I think that is probably a better way to go, because we're not, it's not just a whole issue of child abuse, which some could argue is what we have right now. Instead, we get like super cool, sexy action heroine who maybe slowly over time is discovering elements to her backstory that involve her father that causes question.
Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, my mind of it is that I feel like, there are lots of stories, where the kids basically are in an abusive situation to become like the warriors and heroes. It's like, take for example, like 300. Those kids have the crap beaten out of them since the time they can walk and stuff, just so they can be molded into these like deadly Spartan warriors and stuff. And they're seen as heroic and stuff. So I mean, I just feel like this is basically, I think TV Tropes calls it training of hell or something. That's the trope where you're basically put through a huge amount of training when you're younger to become like this almost superhuman like hero.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
sorry, Moby, but you also have to keep 300, and I'm going to sound like patriarchal sexist here, but 300 was also with boys. You're dealing with girls, and when you deal with girls, especially when you have your readers are men, because men, we do love our strong female characters that kick ass. I mean, that's why we love them in our comics. But when it's not, William, maybe you're the exception.
I was just joking. I was just joking.
Look at even like Preston's books.
Sure.
Like they feature strong female characters. So and that's a common thing, and the reason why it's common is because guys like it. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. My point is, when 300, I think, worked. I think was worked because they were boys, and I think when you get into dealing with girls, and when you have your readers are guys, and some of them are fathers, and some of them are brothers, I think they're going to have a harder time accepting your book as it's written because of that. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, take some notes from y'all. My thing is, what I'm doing, what is that? I was in a college online where they were teaching us about writing. Mm-hmm. And to me, I failed that class a little because the teacher told me you got to keep a certain tone. But the problem is, in real life, you know, let's say Preston's a cop, you, Larry, are a cop. Everyone here's a cop. Preston might be that cop where everything's serious, mm-hmm. you know, but even though in life he's still going to have some moments where he laughs. He's going to have some moments where he jokes around or certain things. You got to...
It's... according to a book which Sean recommended me, How I Made All Those Movies and Never Lost a Dime. Who was that?
Roger Corman.
Roger Corman claims that he invented the horror comedy, that it really didn't exist, and he was making horror movies, and he was like, there's, you know, because like, look, a lot of times there's plenty of room for a funny element, you know, like, you know, you got the monster and like somebody just grabs a rock and throws it at the monster and the monster just kind of looks down and shrugs and just keeps going. Like, you could kind of play that for a laugh. And Corman, you know, started doing that. And a lot of people were like, well, tonally that's wrong because it's a horror movie. But, you know, like it works in horror because you want kind of to relieve the pressure, if you will.
Yeah, like Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street kind of does that with slashers where, like, you know, it's all, there's fun games with Freddy and stuff while he's brutally killing teenagers.
Right. Yeah. So I kind of like the Moby way for the most part. It's stronger emotion having a kid go through all that, but she becomes, so, you know, fair enough. So look, I understand what you're wrestling with, Mo, because I wrestle with the same stuff. Like tone feels like a bit of a straitjacket. I wouldn't worry a ton about it, but in general, I feel like White Lily is a pretty strong story, and part of, in my opinion, what keeps it strong is that it has kind of one tone throughout the story. You know, it doesn't matter if you're reading issue, and the tone actually creeps up on people. Like when we get to issue 4 of White Lily, and she's this depressed mess who's just setting this fire on her plane and climbing in the cockpit and just this figure of rage and grief and doesn't know whether she wants to die there or just die in the sky. People, you know, like I got a comment like, wow, this was really compelling. I did not expect your story to be going here. But I have a feeling if you go back and reread them, you'll go, well, I opened with death in issue 1. And, you know, like if you read it, like the story is always tracking, like we're talking about people dying and the world falling apart. So tonally, I feel like White Lily is very strong. And I think in general, stories that stick to a tone tend to do better than those that don't. Now, you don't have to make it a straitjacket. If it's limiting your creativity, fine. You can look at it like a thing that you maybe come back to when your story is all fleshed out and go, okay, maybe I want to select tone a little bit later. But, you know.
Well, tone doesn't mean you can't have lighthearted moments in a serious story.
Right. Yeah.
Having a consistent tone doesn't mean you have to be all serious all the time.
Right.
But when I say not a consistent tone, you have an anthropomorphic grizzly bear that's acting like a best friend.
Yeah.
That is tonally comedic.
A little bit, yeah.
That is not tonally serious.
Right.
You have a father torturing a 10 to 13-year-old girl.
Yeah.
That is tonally serious.
And he's kind of psychologically abusive. What's with it? You're never going to see me again. Like, this guy's a dick.
Right.
Well, there's other
and what was that? That Mother May I? What was that? That Carrie? It's kind of like, yeah, kind of like Carrie. It kind of reminds me of that dark tone, and you kind of switch back and forth, and that's why I say you got to pick one. It doesn't mean you can't have lighthearted moments, and it doesn't mean you can't have serious moments, because you need both of those. That's how you go. It's an ebb and a flow. You have moments of high intensity and emotion, and then lighter moments, and you have more serious moments, and that sort of a thing. But as I said, just the anthropomorphic bear throws me when you immediately go into torturing a 10-year-old.
Well, I mean, I don't. The way I look at it is, I set the tone that anything can happen, but at the same time, you're gonna have a few little light moments here and there, but it's still going towards that dark aspect. At the end of the day, while you're reading it, that's a 10-year-old. The reason I kept it 10 is that you make a 16-year-old or older, you got to deal with that character's personality. But there's going to be more shock and more, like you said, you feel that person's a victim. You now accept it far more. If that character was 16, you might add in a few more questions. Why doesn't she overcome it? Why? You're going to ask more about that life. From going.
That was why I was pitching the whole idea of watching her mother be brutally raped and murdered, because that gives her the motivation to do that. But anyway,
if you add in rape and murder, you immediately lose Gail Simone and stuff.
and that is more on the dark. That is more dark too, which is what it seems like you want to do.
Oh yeah, it's only gonna get darker, man.
Yeah. So I would experiment. I think, even if I'm going to say this, if you call this issue 1, and strangely enough, if you just throw it out and you just start with issue 2, picking up from where issue 1 is, if you make issue 2 issue 1, I think your story might improve, because we've gone through the traumatic backstory and we're now to the hero acting and doing cool stuff. But she's remembering and referring to the traumatic backstory that happened. So I would say this is one where you need to pick a start time for the story that's a little later, and I honestly think it'll solve a lot of these problems.
I don't disagree with Preston at all. I think that's a good way to approach it, especially if you want to keep it with her going through this all at a younger age. Especially if you want to do the whole child in an adult body, and Oh, there was one other thing I mentioned about tone, and I know we did kind of get to it. I don't know if you were there, but tone was one of the things I was struggling with when I was writing Wizard's Daughter too, was that having a character be evil and do evil things without actually dragging the tone down, because I wanted it to be a comedy.
Right.
And that was where I was like, okay, well, how do I write evil characters in a comedy without dragging it down? And the whole thing I did with the whole magistrate and everything that he was doing was all about trying to write an evil character in a comedy without while keeping it tonally comedic, but still getting across that. I don't think I did a very good job of it, but that's beside the point. But that was kind of where I was trying to go with it, and that's one of those things that it's not that's what we mean by tone. Like, it doesn't mean it has to be comedic to horror. It just means that it has to be,
Well, the way I look at it is, like, when you mention evil, I think the biggest problem a lot of writers do when it comes to an evil character is that you write a person, like, for example, let's say you got a serial killer that hates people, will kill any person in front of him, but all of a sudden, it's kind of like The Godfather, how this is a guy ordering murders and hit jobs, and he's got a pet cat. You know what I'm saying? We don't write, when it comes to evil, we don't look at it as, yes, he's evil in the face of people, but there's still some positive side. Like, The Godfather, he's got a pet cat, he shows love to his family, but that man is a guy who's a boss of a murdering.
Right, but even The Godfather started out at his daughter's wedding. So we got to see his family, how he interacted. So how he was acting toward his daughter and his son-in-law and all of that kind of stuff was all kind of how we got to know him as a character, so that as we developed his character in the story, developed him as two sides.
Right.
There was him and
And Godfather is honestly a story about degeneration. Like, he doesn't start out as a cold-blooded guy. He becomes kind of a cold-blooded guy over the course of the show.
It showed the prequel,
Anyway, that's, we read a bunch of pages. We gave you a bunch of notes. Hopefully, I look forward to seeing more in the future. Future is very important because we're going to live the rest of our lives in the future. So.
Right, man. I'm just going the route of bathing blood, you know.
Ed Wood reference. That was that one. But Larry, I had an idea.
Yeah.
Are you, okay.
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right. So coming back to the budget on the thing. All right. So, because like I'm gonna be, we're gonna see how much comic book we can make for right around our 2000. If theoretically, if you could shave off 6 pages on that script and make it a 20-page script, so we would lower our production costs by about $600-700, right? So now it's down to around $2,000, and we take that money and we throw it towards some variant covers, so $250 each for some pretty cool artists to do a couple of variant covers for us. And now we go into a campaign with a 20-page script, a main cover and 2 variants, and I like your chances. That's what I think. But my plan, and we can do it on budget. But I'm going to need you to cut down the story.
Okay.
If you had some money that you were throwing it, if our budget was bigger, we could tell more story. Because our budget is smaller, I need you to cut a little.
Okay.
All right.
See what I can do.
All right, thank you very much. So that's
you could always make those 6 pages stretch goals.
Exactly. Yes, you could.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but you need to write it so that if we're ending it on whatever page 20 is, it's not like it's an ending.
Continued, and where's the rest?
It needs to be some kind of ending there for us. Anyway, that's my thoughts on today. But yeah, cool, Big Steve. Thanks for stopping in, Big Steve. Big fan of ours. But I enjoyed this evening's pages. I look forward to seeing what we're going to have next week. This has been Press and Pull through Podcast Comics. Thanks very much for your time. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right. Like a good neighbor,